In this section of American government, we're going to go over some of the buildings and monuments that are located in Washington, D.C. First thing here, we have objectives. So objectives are just some of the things that you guys are going to learn during this presentation. Some of the objectives are the students will be able to name the major buildings in Washington, D.C., describe the reasonings for the building, and they're going to have to create a map of Washington, D.C., naming where some of the buildings are. First thing we're going to do here was our pre-assessment. Our pre-assessment is just a couple questions that we're going to ask out in the class, and we're just going to get you some answers to see what you guys know about Washington, D.C. This is just for my help to figure out what I need to teach you guys and what all you guys know. So one of the first questions is, what are 3 buildings that are located in Washington, D.C.? The next question is, what is the name of the tallest building? So as you can see here in our picture, this is a picture of the Washington Monument. The Washington Monument is the tallest building in the United States of America. No building is allowed to be built taller than that. So the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to click on this link and we're going to go to this website. We're going to go through a virtual tour of Washington, D.C., just looking at some of the buildings and facts that there are about them. The first building we come to is the Washington Monument. The Washington Monument was built to commemorate the first president of the United States of America, George Washington. The monument is located on the National Mall and overlooks the reflecting pool. Construction of the monument began on July of 1848, but was not finished until December of 1884. This was because of a shortage of funds by the United States caused construction to be halted. It is because of this there are 2 different shades of stone which are visible on the monument. It stands at 555 feet tall and sees nearly 500,000 visitors per year. The next place we're going to go to is the Lincoln Memorial. The Lincoln Memorial is also located on the National Mall across from the Washington Monument. It was completed in 1922 and commemorates the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. The exterior resembles a classic Greek temple and the inside of a statue, President Lincoln, which stands 60 feet high, 60 feet wide, and 74 feet long. The memorial has always been a representation of race relations and was the place where Martin Luther King Jr. made his famous I Have a Dream speech during the March on Washington in 1963. This is commemorated on the monument with an engraving in the spot where King delivered the speech. The next building we're going to go to is the Vietnam War Monument. The Vietnam War Memorial was built in 1982 to commemorate all those who served in the Vietnam War. It is divided into 3 parts, the most famous part being the Wall, which features over 500,000 names of soldiers who were killed in the war. It also features a women's memorial and also the 3 soldiers, which depicts 3 servicemen, 1 white, one African American, and 1 Hispanic, looking over at the wall at their fallen comrades. The next place we're going to go is the Jefferson Monument. The Jefferson Monument commemorates the 3rd President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson. The monument is modeled after the Roman Pantheon. The interior features a 19-foot-tall bronze statue of Jefferson along with several quotes of his which illustrate the principles to which he dedicated his life. It is located in the tidal basin of Washington, D.C., and every year the monument hosts the Cherry Blossom Festival. The next building we're going to go look at is the Capitol Building. The United States Capitol sits at atop Capitol Hill on the eastern end of the National Mall. It is this building that houses the Senate and the House of Representatives, which make up the legislative branch of the United States government. The building is one of the most notable government buildings due to its neoclassical design as well as its recognizable dome. It was completed in the year 1800, but was damaged in 1814 when the British burned it in 1814. The next building we're going to go look at is the White House. So as most of you know, the White House is the building where the president lives and works. The White House is the official residence of the presidential principal workplace for the President of the United States and his family. It is located at 600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Every president since John Adams has lived in the White House since 1800. The building was also damaged during the War of 1812 with the British burning of Washington. The west wing of the mansion is where most office spaces are, including the famous Oval Office. So this over here is where the Oval Office is located. The next place we're going to go is Arlington National Cemetery. Arlington National Cemetery is located in Arlington County, Virginia, across the Potomac River from Washington, D.C. It is a cemetery overseen by the Army and is where deceased soldiers can be buried, as well as President John F. Kennedy is buried there, and his grave site is marked with an eternal flame. Another one of the most visited attractions of the cemetery is the Tomb of the Unknowns. The next place we're going to go is the FDR Memorial. The FDR Memorial is dedicated to the 32nd President of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Excuse me. The memorial is spread across 7.5 acres and traces the 12 years he was president in a series of 4 outdoor rooms. There is also a section featuring a statue of his wife, Eleanor Roosevelt, which is the only presidential memorial to depict a First Lady. Next place we're going to go is United States Supreme Court building. The Supreme Court is the body which makes up the judicial branch of the United States government. The court is made up of 12 justices which hear cases and establish precedents and interpret the Constitution. Despite being an important section of the government, the court did not have their own building until 1935. The final place on our tour here is the Library of Congress. The Library of Congress is the research library that officially serves the United States Congress, but which is the de facto National Library of the United States. It is the oldest federal cultural institution in the United States and is the world's largest library. Now we're going to return to the PowerPoint and continue on with this presentation. So now we're going to go ahead and practice what we learned. We're going to go to the Kahoot website and we're going to play a little game over the Kahoot buildings, over the buildings in Washington, D.C. Just a little fun activity for us to try to review what we've learned. Okay, now for you guys' post-assessment, you guys are going to get into a group, and it's going to be a group of 3 or 4 people, and you're going to go out, you're going to get a poster board, and you're going to have to draw a map of Washington, D.C. You're going to have to draw the map, and you're going to include all the major buildings and monuments in Washington, D.C. So you can build this however you want. You can write it down and label it, or you can actually make it into a 3D map of Washington, D.C. It all depends on how you want to do it. This will be due in 2 weeks, and I will give you some class time to work on this.